What is up, my YouTube friends? Today I'm gonna answer the most asked question I get in the comments section on my channel. That question is how I edit my video intros. But there is a dirty little secret to my editing that's also an important YouTube lesson that everyone needs to learn at some point if they want their channel to grow. So I think it's time to get right to it. So let's do this! My analytics say that 80% of the folks watching my content are not subscribed. Am I doing something wrong? Well, let me know in the comments. But if you are looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better YouTuber or live streamer, then subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you don't miss any new content. It's totally free. Before I show you how I create the intro, I need to address my dirty little editing secret. But to do that, I want to tell you a bit of a story. Now, I know you came to see a tutorial on the intro edit, but trust me, this is important, so stick with me here and I'll get to the tutorial in a second. First off, when I started YouTube, I knew absolutely nothing about the creation process. I was filming on this cell phone right here and editing in Premiere Pro, learning everything all at once. Now, I was great at coming up with ideas to film and planning them out in my head. I picked up the video, sound, and lighting parts pretty quickly, and that's what I really enjoy doing. The editing, on the other hand, was a real struggle. I could never make what I shot look like what I wanted in the editing room. I would spend hours and hours fiddling with every aspect of my videos in Premiere and After Effects, only to end up completely disappointed with the results. Finally, I realized that all that time I was spending editing really wasn't resulting in the outcome I wanted. So finally, I just reverted to the most basic of edits, bumping clips together, adding some music and sound effects, and then just releasing the video. I found this content was about 80% of the quality content I was spending hours and hours and hours polishing, and I could do it in way less than half the time. And that, for me, meant more time planning and filming and more overall content. I also felt much happier not having to beat myself up over my lack of editing skills. As it turned out, the information I was passing on was more important than the quality of the edits, and the channel started to perform well enough. I was finally getting paid for my efforts. Not much, but at least it was something. And after 3 stable months where I knew roughly how much I could expect to come in, I took it all and...
Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm Michael's video editor.
Yep. I hired an editor and I paid him all the money. Why? There's a couple of reasons here. First, because I knew my videos could be a lot more visually appealing and entertaining if I had an editing professional putting their creative spin on my content. My goal is always to produce the best possible content. Second, I realized that I just wasn't good at the creative parts of the editing process. In fact, I really didn't enjoy doing it at all. And this brings me to a really important lesson that I hope you learn from this. YouTube creation is a lot of work, and there are a lot of skills that you need to learn to be good at it. I mean, you need to be good at researching and planning, filming, audio, lighting, editing, thumbnail creation, and titles. And lastly, marketing and analytics, so you can see trends and figure out how to continue to grow. You're essentially required to learn every job along the path of a film studio production and perform them all by yourself. And let's face it, we aren't all awesome at each of these jobs, and we like some of these jobs way more than others. Doing all these jobs for too long can cause burnout, especially the ones you aren't good at or you don't like to do. Early on in your YouTube career, you should evaluate your process. Determine the things that you love doing, but also the things that you aren't as excited about. Maybe you have trouble coming up with topics and ideas that will resonate with your audience because you just can't stand to look at your analytics. Believe it or not, there are plenty of companies and individuals who are more than willing to help you with that. Maybe you feel restricted by your camera skills and you need someone to help you create the right imaging for your videos. There are also lots of camera experts out there who would love the opportunity to be involved in helping you film your content. Literally, any job along the chain of the creation process can be outsourced to make your life easier and your content better. And when your content is better, you make more money and have more opportunity. So my advice to you is, as soon as you can afford to start to outsource some of the pieces of your process that you don't like or you aren't satisfied with, do it. It's gonna free up all kinds of time to do the things you really do enjoy more. And take those other pieces to another level because someone with passion for that process is going to be producing them. You won't regret it. I definitely haven't. Mark is a huge part of the content I create right here, and I wouldn't be where I am today without his efforts. He has so much creativity in his editing style and a passion for editing that shows in all of his work. In fact, what I love about this most is that all the passion that I try to put into my tutorials and the creation process that I love so much comes through a lot better because I have an editor who has the same passion for editing and creating fun stories. And I think you can see that in all my videos. Now, for those of you who have been asking for so long, here is how Mark edits my intro. And here we go. Now we're in Premiere Pro. And what we're gonna do is load up our sequence. We've already created our full sequence. This is basically the end result of what our video is going to be. And so we're just gonna import that and we're gonna add it to our timeline here. And what I'm gonna do is go and mark out the area of my intro. So we're gonna zoom in here a little bit. And so I'm just gonna scrub through this and find the end of my intro. And it's right about there. Now keep in mind that this sequence was already edited up. In other words, all the clips were put in the proper sequence and stuff. So then I'm gonna cut it right here and I'm gonna right click on the intro clip and select Replace with After Effects Composition. And this is gonna open that intro in After Effects, and I just have to name what I wanna call this After Effects file as soon as I get in here, so I can just call it what I want to name the project. And here Mark likes to create a new folder for each After Effects composition and then put each composition in those folders. And so I just name this up and click save, and there we go. So now our sequence is in here, and I'm just going to scrub through, and what I'm trying to do is locate that bit in the beginning where we kind of zoom in. Now it goes from being out of focus to in focus, and we want to get it right before we actually say anything. And so as soon as we have that little part right before I start speaking, we're going to put our playhead there, and we're going to select Command-Shift-D in order to split this layer. Now in a PC, it will be Control-Shift-D, and it'll split these two layers, so we just have this little zoom part of our intro right before I start to talk. And now we're going to work with that a little bit. We're gonna right click and we're going to time, and we're gonna go ahead and do enable time remapping. And you can see this puts in little keyframes down here, and then I place one at the end. And when I pull this up, it's gonna speed that up. So there you go. You can see that that whole jump sequence is just a little bit faster. And I can just mute it here so I don't have to listen to it over and over again. I'm gonna play it until we get it to look exactly how we want it. Then we're gonna go up to the effect. Over here in the effects and presets, we can just type this in. We want to get this warp effect. And so you can just drag and drop that onto our clip. You can see it kind of does this warp type thing. We're going to set our playhead to the beginning, and we're going to select the fisheye under warp style, and under bend, we're going to dial this all the way back. So it's fisheyeing way back. And then we're going to go to about halfway through the clip, and we're going to bend it a little bit forward, and then we're going to go to the end of that clip and we're going to bring it to 0. So we're going to go way back, a little forward, and then it's going to go to normal. And that's how we get that kind of warp effect on that little intro. And we can select these two, and we want to speed the clip up a little bit, and there we go. And you can select any of these keyframes here and move them around and adjust them any way you want. Now we're gonna go into Motion Bro, and this is an application that you can pick up. I'll leave a link in the description, and we're just going to add a simple shake to the very end of this clip. So I'm going to select shape, and I'm gonna select the one time, and it just puts it in here. I'm gonna drag it all the way up to the top, and you can see it shows you the peak of the shake. And when it does this, it's gonna kind of shake the clip right after it starts, right when I start talking. And you can see it's labeled on that little peak clip exactly where we're getting a large percentage of the shake. Let's just move this back to the very beginning of our timeline here. We'll select everything and move it back to the left. And you can see now this offers a little bit of a camera jitter, and this tool is really incredible. We'll add a little bit of black into the beginning of our composition, and there we go. So now we have our warp right in there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit more motion into this opening sequence. We're gonna select these two and we're gonna color them so they're easy to identify. So now we're going to put our timeline into this location here where we want to kind of start to adjust it, give it a little bit more depth. We're going to select this footage that we want, and we're going to press the S key to bring up our scale, and then we're going to click that little watch right next to it so that we can add a keyframe there. And we want to select position and also put a keyframe in there. Now we're going to go ahead and just expand this out. You can use the arrow keys to expand out this menu. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to scale this up just a little bit after we move our playhead down a little bit farther down the timeline. And you can see that kind of zips it from one to the other. And we can adjust these locations. And you can see Mark is doing this in conjunction with me kind of pointing my finger at the screen, which is always an effective way to move the screen around. And we're going to go into Motion 3 MG after we select those keyframes, and we're going to go ahead and just adjust the way that these keyframes work. Now Motion 3 MG is another plugin that you can add, and what this does is it gives you a really simple, easy way to control the way that your movements happen. So in other words, you can control the spike so that it will go slow at first, fast in the middle, and slow again at the end, or vice versa. Fast at the beginning, a little bit slower in the middle, and then fast at the end. Well, this has all of those written in as presets, so you don't have to play around with it. You can just go in and use Motion 3 to give you those presets and make it really easy to adjust the way that these transitions happen. And it's just another quick shortcut that professional editors will use, and you can easily use these. There is a link in the description so you can check them out. We constantly play with these to get them exactly how Mark wants them to be, and we adjust everything up or back. And sometimes it just takes a while. Sometimes you really have to tweak it and play around with it so that you get that look you want. And it goes so fast that it's really subtle on screen, but that's only because he spends so much time getting that look that he wants. So now you have a pretty good idea of how the intro works. And if you want to see how the rest of this intro is put together with all the titling and text animations and all that stuff, well, just leave me a message in the comments. And if you are wondering whether you can do any of this in a program like DaVinci Resolve or something like that, well, DaVinci Resolve and Fusion essentially work the exact same way. Now, I want to show you one other piece of this process. So at this point, all you need to do is save After Effects, and what it does is it transfers all that information into Premiere Pro. And then we can go into Premiere Pro, and what Mark does is paste in the intro from another one of my videos, which basically all use the same audio effects. So he drags my regular voice track all the way down to audio 4, and then he just pastes that other audio set of tracks in above that. And now it's really easy to just zoom into this and go in and edit everything. So play it through once, and then all you need to do is go in and adjust the volume levels and the length of each of those tracks so they're proper. And if you've never seen how this is done, it's not terribly difficult. And when you click that M button, that means that's being muted. But if you expand this out, you can lower and raise the volume levels by moving this little bar here, and you can expand these down and do that on every single track. And once we have those volume levels adjusted so they're proper, we can expand these out or make them shorter if we want to, just by dragging on these edges. And the bigger you make this, the easier and finer tuning that you can get on those volume adjustments and everything else. And like I said, all you need to do is grab and drag these edges to make the clip longer or shorter, depending upon how you want the audio to go. And that is the full edit for the intro. Now you can see Mark does the smart thing, like using tools and add-ons to do the things I would have spent hours creating manually. Hours. Now this allows him to be a lot more creative and playful with his edits than I could ever be. I've also had a lot of requests to show the text animation that are used in my intros. Today I want to show you an awesome audio trick that's up. and how it works. So let's get to it. If that's something you want to see, leave a comment and let me know, and I'll do one on that process right away. And if you want to see how I created an epic custom stinger for your live stream, check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better YouTuber or live streamer, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. My name is Michael Fire Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.